Hello and welcome. My name is Kylie Bartlett, the host of the Web Celeb TV show, the world's first web TV show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs create buzz, build a brand and get celebrity results in their business. Well, this week's episode is brought to you just down here in Geelong again, Geelong, Victoria, Australia. So I'm not on location today, just in my gorgeous office and home. And today's episode is all about speaking. So let me ask you a couple of questions. Has there ever been a time when you've gone to a presentation and the speaker has been so mesmerizing that you've hung on every word that they've said? Or what about the opposite? Have you gone to a conference where the speaker was so damn boring that you were thinking of everything else other than what the speaker was saying? Have you yourself ever experienced stage fright and got up on stage and forgot everything that it is that you wanted to say? Well, how would it be if I could demonstrate to you 4 very, very simple steps that you could use to start to reduce some of those fears and anxieties that you might be experiencing as a speaker and start to increase your charisma, your confidence, your clarity as a communicator? Would that be of interest to you? You know what, I've got a sneaking suspicion it might. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, look, Kylie, some people were just born with the gift of the gab. Some people were just naturally born to speak. Well, I don't agree with that. Although some people have a natural disposition towards speaking, I think everyone can learn how to speak, and I'd like to be able to demonstrate that to you right now on this show. Now, I look at it a little bit like the Wizard of Oz. So in the Wizard of Oz, there was 3 characters. There was the lion. Now, the thing about the lion is that he needed courage. So I think in the speaking game, whether that's on video, in copy, on webinars, and on stage, you need a level of confidence and courage about you to get up there and do it. I think you need the heart of the Tin Man to build rapport and engagement and trust with your audience. And thirdly, I think you need to have the head of the scarecrow, and that is the brains. And what I mean by the brains is to be able to follow a formula, follow a system that will actually allow you to be charismatic and engaging. So it's a little bit like a house. Let me explain what I mean. And some people, I don't know about you, but I went and bought one of those renovated dreams homes. So it was a home in about the 1950s. It was a Californian bungalow, and it needed a lot of TLC, but it had this great potential written all over it. But instead of going in and doing all the things that I should have done, like restumping and rewiring and replumbing the house, I got a little impatient and started going to interior decorators and asking them to come in and talk about all the different paint colours and the furnishings and the curtains, and I started getting new furniture and lounge suites. But what I should have really done is probably restump the home first. And why do I say that? Well, I started putting bits of newspaper under the leg of the chairs, or I was putting pictures on the walls, but the paint was chipping off because I'd put new layers of paint over old paint. And so I look at speaking very much the same way. If you haven't got a solid foundation, your bluestone chips are not in place, so if you haven't restumped, rewired and replumbed, you can start to build a great fancy bells and whistles presentation, but it can come tumbling down on you if you don't have those foundations in place. So what I'm really excited about is to bring to you this foundational piece. Now, I'm going to bring to you a piece that I've learned through neuro-linguistic programming, or also known as NLP. Now, there's some real curiosity around NLP, and some people don't know what it is. So let me explain what NLP is. Neuro is looking at the brain and the way that we think at a conscious and unconscious level. L stands for linguistics, and linguistics is the language that we use to represent what's happening at a neurological level. And the P stands for programming, which is all the habits and routines that we've got ourselves into. So that's NLP. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail about NLP other than to say that I've studied it for 10 years, and it is the thing that has taken my life to a whole new level. And if I talk about it from a speaking perspective, it is what has given me the foundation and the scaffolding in order to become a brilliant presenter. Because let's be honest, there are a lot of talking heads out there, people that just flap their lips and think that that's speaking. I would like to be able to teach you the art and the science behind speaking. It takes the pressure off your speech and allows you to be more fluid, more engaging, more charismatic, more confident, and have more clarity. And guess what? Make your audience feel far more empowered and engaged and wanting to take action on the things that you've been teaching them. So that's what I'm going to be using, a thing called frameworks, which is a part of NLP. So now, as I said to you, there's 4 simple steps that I'd like you to think about. And the first one, actually before I go into the 4 steps, the brain and us humans, we do think and learn in a particular way. And it's like a clock. We start it up the top and we go all the way around. Now what happens is that as presenters, depending on the way that we like to learn and be educated, we tend to then fall into delivering a presentation in the same way. And I'm going to step you through the 4 different ways that we like to learn. Now, I don't know about you, but were you brought up to treat others how you like to be treated? Well, I hate to break the bad news to you, but it's not about treating others how you like to be treated. It's about treating others how they like to be treated. So if I can teach you these 4 learning styles, it's then going to be able to make it much easier for you to incorporate them into your speech so that everyone in your audience is being looked after and feeling engaged, rather than you just using one particular style that is biased to you based on how you like to learn and be educated and take action. So let me go through them with you. The first one is what's known as the why learner. And what the why learners are, they're all about imagination and building connections and fantasy. They love feelings, they love being around people. So the way that you use the why, or I'll call it the why frame, because remember we're talking about frameworks, 4 learning styles. So when you're using the why frame in your presentations, there are 3 aspects to the why frame. And the first one's what's known as universals. Now what a universal is, you make a statement in your opening speech or your presentation or your webinar or video that is very much based on answers that are going to be universally true to the audience. Now the reason why you pose 3 universal questions is that generally speaking the mind needs 3 pieces of evidence that what you are saying is correct before it opens up the rest of its mind to listen to what it is that you're saying. So you will have noticed that in my opening I used 3 universals, and this is what they were. Has there ever been a time when you've watched a presenter that was really great and mesmerizing and you hung on every word? Or how about the opposite? Have you ever been to a seminar or a conference where the speaker was so boring? So can you see where I'm going with this? What I did there was I used 3 universals, or they're also known as truisms, because I want you at an unconscious level. Now remember, most of this is happening unconsciously, but I want you to start to appreciate that at an unconscious level, as soon as I give the mind 3 pieces of evidence that what I as the presenter is saying is correct, then the audience is more inclined to believe the information that is coming afterwards. So do you understand how that works? So, excuse me, I'm just going to get some water here. Okay, so they're the universals. Now the second thing that you do as a part of the why learning or the why frame is you throw in what I call poos. I know, it sounds a bit gross, but what a poo is, it's pacing out objections, P-O-O. And what a poo is that you raise an objection that the audience might be thinking at a conscious or unconscious level. For example, I said to you, now you're probably thinking that some people weren't born to be speakers, some people have the gift of the gab. Now the reason I brought up that example was to demonstrate to the audience that I was on their side. You see, it's called calling the ghosts in NLP. And if you can call the ghosts in the room, in other words the skeptics or the people that are cynical and sitting on the fence, and you can disarm the ghost, then that person in the audience that's feeling a bit cynical now also feels like they can continue because you've disarmed the ghost or you've called it. And then the third part of the why learning or the why frame is using metaphors, using analogies. And so it's learning to be a storyteller. And I actually threw 2 in my opening, and the one was about the Wizard of Oz and the Scarecrow and the Tin Man and the Lion. And I also started talking about restumping homes before you put up the curtains and buy new furnishings. So they were 2 metaphors that I threw in to my presentation in my why frame, in my why learning.